Truck driving is a good job, and in many cases, for many drivers, it's a great job, but it's never been a particularly safe one. In fact, trucking is rated as one of the most dangerous jobs in the United States. Now, a lot of people like to blame the truck drivers for that, but truly, the problem starts much higher up at the top of our food chain. It starts with the F.M.C.S.A, which stands for the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Association. This video is sponsored by GP Transco. They're a mid-sized carrier out of Joliet, Illinois. They hire out of all 48 states. They were recently rated a top workplace to work for by the Chicago Tribune, and that's a rare honor for a trucking company. But it's because they treat their people fairly and pay them well, and they're transparent with them. Check GP Transco out at gptransco.com. I'm sure you'll be happy there. Now, we're all aware of the recent case and trial of Aguilera Medeiros. He was the truck driver that came down the side of the mountain into Denver. He burned out his brakes and he hit the bottom and hit a number of cars, killed 4 people, injured 6 others. And he drove right by a runway lane, a ramp that could have saved him and saved everybody. But he couldn't read the sign. He didn't understand what a runaway ramp was. He lacked command of the English language. Now, having command of the English language is a federal regulation. It's a DOT mandate that truck drivers with commercial licenses, be able to speak and command and read and write the English language. Now, when asked recently, particularly about this accident, the latest head of the F.M.C.S.A, Robin Hutchison, was asked if they were going to start enforcing this rule because it was becoming a problem with drivers not being able to speak English and read the signs. And her response was that enforcement of that rule was, in her words, unnecessary. She didn't see it as a priority. She was going to leave that for the carriers to take care of. And I thought when she responded that way, I thought, really, that's not a priority. I wonder how those people whose families were killed in the accident would feel about your response. Just ridiculous. Let's look at another example. Parking. Parking has been the number one issue for years for truck drivers. It's been going on so long. In fact, I had to look up when all of that started to be an issue for us. And in the year 2000, when the F.M.C.S.A was formed, one of their initial requests was to do an investigation about parking and solve that problem because it was already a problem on the East Coast, on the Eastern Seaboard for truck parking. That was in the year 2000. In the year 2014, I did a video because parking was still a problem. Remember the names Jason Rivenberg and Mike Boglin? Those were 2 truck drivers killed back in 2014 because they couldn't find safe parking. So here we are in the year 2022, 22 years after the F.M.C.S.A was tasked with solving this problem, and the new F.M.C.S.A's head response is, well, we're going to take a serious look at the parking problem. They've been allotted billions of dollars from the federal government, and you know what they're spending on parking? Not 1 red cent. The F.M.C.S.A has been broken and has been on a downhill slide since its inception in the year 2000. And I think part of the problem is that they appoint bureaucrats to head that position, to be the boss of the F.M.C.S.A. The Federal Aviation Administration has a pilot with over 30 years commercial and fighter pilot experience in the U.S. Navy. He heads the Federal Aviation Administration. The Federal Maritime Administration is headed by a retired vice admiral with years and years of experience. And even the Federal Railroad Administration is headed by a railroad worker that has been a conductor, a linesman, and has had years and years of practical experience in the industry. The F.M.C.S.A, always headed by a bureaucrat, and I think that's a real problem. I think Todd Spencer would be an ideal guy to appoint as the head of the F.M.C.S.A instead of some bureaucrat that knows absolutely nothing about this industry. Now, they say that heading the F.M.C.S.A is a tough job because you're always caught between 2 groups. You're caught between the safety groups, mostly the four-wheelers, and between trucking groups like the ATA, and it's impossible to satisfy them. Well, I've got a solution for that. For the safety groups that are involved with the four-wheelers, I'd say to them that we know statistically that four-wheelers cause 70% to 90% of all accidents on our highways. So you go clean up your act before you come whining to us about the trucks. Now, in all fairness, truck accidents have been on the rise. And to the ATA, I'd say a big part of the reason the accidents are on the rise with trucks is because the poor level of training that you do with these people coming into the industry. It takes months, at least, to master one of these trucks. And you can't be training them with a guy that's had 3 weeks experience and he's lying in the bunk. It takes a whole lot more effort than that. And some of these big carriers, and we know their names, are responsible for the deaths of many, many people on the highways. And I would say that the F.M.C.S.A. should just go to them and say, well, your training is highly inadequate. You've killed a number of people. We're pulling your ticket. You're out of business. And it'd be as simple as that. In conclusion, I'd have to say that it's hard to instill safety in the trucking culture when the people at the top, at the F.M.C.S.A., clearly don't care. Safety isn't on their agenda. They have something different in mind. You've got to take care of yourself. Be safe for yourself. Drive carefully yourself, because the F.M.C.S.A. isn't going to be helping you. Quick story before we go, and it has to do with the command of the English language, something we were talking about earlier in the video. I was coming out of Canada, having loaded up. I was coming out of Canada and I had to cross back through customs into the States. Now, while I was coming through Canada, heading back in, I met a fellow that I kind of knew off and on from chatting to on the CB, and he was from Texas, and he had unloaded at the produce market, same as I had, and we chatted there. And we were both on our way back down stateside, and we had to cross through U.S. Customs. So I don't know if they still do this at the customs booth, but they had a bunch of regular questions that they would ask you. So I pull up to the booth, and one of the questions that was very typical was, what country are you from? Where are you from? Where are you born? And what nationality are you? And I rolled up to the booth, and I had this little Oriental guy, and he was a regular guy at Detroit Customs. I knew him from crossing there so often. And he said, what's your nationality? And I said, Canadian. And he had a really thick accent, but I understood what he said. Guy dealt with him before, and he asked me a few other questions, and I was good to go. Well, this big lad from Texas rolled up behind me to the booth and got this little Oriental fellow with the thick accent, and the little guy says to him, what nationality are you? And this big Texas boy goes, I'm American. What the hell are you? Well, that was just the wrong answer to mouth off to a federal customs officer with. The little Oriental guy took offense, kicked the truck, the guy from Texas, kicked him down into the inspection compound, and he didn't catch up to me for the rest of the trip. And when I finally saw him in California, he said he was there for hours. They reamed him back and forth. They searched the trailer. They searched the truck. He went through hell just for mouthing off to this guy. I thought it was a funny story. So you don't mouth off to customs agents or federal officers of any type, for that matter. Stay safe. Keep the rubber side down. I'll see you on the back.